Mind Your Own Business, Natalie's Comical Sixth Sense by Reuben White. In the hysterical world of Dear Natalie, the threads of reality were woven with the most eccentric of metaphors, and life was a comical tapestry of eccentricities. It all began at the tender age of 4 when her grandmother departed from this world, leaving young Natalie with a cryptic parting message that was destined to shape her life in the most uproarious way. Dear Natalie, with her wide-eyed innocence, stood by her grandmother's bedside, her pudgy little fingers clasped around the frail hand of the woman who had nurtured her. The old lady's eyes twinkled, and she whispered, "You will continue this gift, my dear." Natalie blinked, her rosy cheeks wrinkling in confusion. What on earth was Grandma talking about? Before she could fathom the enigmatic words, her mother discreetly slipped out of the room, sensing the gravity of the situation. The truth was, Dear Natalie was about to inherit a family heirloom, a peculiar ability passed down through generations like a wonky family heirloom that nobody really wanted but couldn't throw away. The gift, you ask? The astounding ability to hear the thoughts of others when they gazed in her direction. Yes, you read it right, Dear Natalie could read minds, but with a twist so ludicrous that it was like trying to decipher the thoughts of a dyslexic parrot attempting to recite Shakespeare. Now, you might think this newfound skill would be a boon, but little did Natalie know that her life would soon be a carnival of misinterpretations and absurdity, where the boundaries between reality and hilarity would blur faster than a cheetah on roller skates. Fast forward a couple of decades, and Dear Natalie, now an adult, was ready to embrace her newfound talent, or so she thought. She went shopping with her best friend, Sarah, in a women's clothing store. Amidst the perfume-scented air and the dazzling array of fashion choices, Natalie picked up a pair of jeans and tried them on. Sarah, with an expression as subtle as a bullhorn at a library, looked at Natalie and thought, "Those jeans are a bit too snug, aren't they?" Natalie, hearing her friend's thoughts instead of her spoken words, shot back, "What did you say?" Sarah, bewildered by Natalie's reaction, stammered, I didn't say anything." Natalie's eyes widened, and she burst into laughter. "Oh, my dear Sarah, you're right. These jeans are snug. I could barely breathe." "How did you know?" She winked, unable to reveal her newfound quirk. Sarah, thinking she'd stumbled into an alternate universe of fashion, gave a half-smile and muttered, "Women's intuition, I guess." But the true comedy began when Dear Natalie attended Thanksgiving dinner with her family. As she gazed around the table at her peculiar relatives, she noticed Aunt Mildred struggling with her steak. A thoughtful aunt she was, but on this particular occasion, she'd forgotten her dentures, and her attempt at chewing was akin to watching a seal trying to eat a watermelon. Natalie, unable to resist the temptation of sharing her newfound power, leaned over and whispered, "Aunt Mildred, don't forget your dentures." Aunt Mildred nearly choked on her half-chewed steak and gasped, "How did you know?" Natalie smiled mischievously, "A sixth sense, dear aunt, a sixth sense." Another uproarious incident unfolded one fine day when Natalie was stuck in traffic with her coworker, Bob. They were racing back to work after a leisurely lunch break, but the traffic had other plans. Bob, with a furrowed brow that resembled a wrinkle on a raisin, glanced at Natalie and thought, "Dear Natalie, you're so annoying. You take too many breaks." Natalie, overhearing his thoughts and possessed by the spirit of hilarity, looked at Bob with a faint gasp and exclaimed, "Bob, why do you think I take too many breaks?" Bob, genuinely perplexed, blinked in astonishment and stammered, I didn't say anything." Natalie, fighting back her laughter, replied, "Bob, it's all right. You can tell me what's on your mind." Bob, now convinced that he was trapped in a psychological experiment, mumbled, "I just thought that we should get back to work." Natalie, amused beyond words, said, "Oh, Bob, your honesty is admirable. Let's race back to the office, shall we?" And so, Dear Natalie's life unfolded in a perpetual series of comical episodes, as her ability to hear the inner thoughts of those around her took center stage. She was the silent observer of absurdity, the accidental eavesdropper on the unspoken comedy of life. Her coworkers, convinced that she had a telepathic hotline to their innermost thoughts, walked on eggshells around her, speaking in hushed voices and trying not to think about that time they considered raiding the office supply room for post-it notes. Little did they know that Natalie's superpower was as accurate as a blindfolded archer attempting to hit a bullseye in a hurricane. As the years rolled on, dear Natalie's ability became more like an unpredictable roller coaster ride, a confounding circus act in a world where the lines between reality and hilarity were as blurred as a chameleon at a paint store. But wait, you might be wondering, where's the moral of this humorous tale? Well, it's quite simple. In a world where we're constantly inundated with thoughts and opinions, where misunderstandings and misinterpretations abound, it's essential to tread lightly and communicate openly. After all, as dear Natalie discovered, the mind is a wacky place, and trying to read it is like attempting to understand the inner workings of a broken vending machine, full of surprises and mostly dispensing nonsense. So, my dear readers, let's embrace the gift of laughter and celebrate the quirks and absurdities that make life a hilarious journey. Just remember, in this world filled with metaphorical roller coasters and eccentric parrots, the most valuable gift is the ability to find humor in the quirks of human nature. And as for dear Natalie, she continued to navigate her peculiar talent, making people laugh and wonder, one misinterpreted thought at a time. She knew that her gift was a double-edged sword, but she chose to use it to spread joy and laughter, proving that even the quirkiest talents can bring a smile to the world. So, let us all strive to be a little more like dear Natalie, finding humor in the most unexpected places and sharing laughter with the world. After all, life is a grand carnival of metaphors, and we're all invited to join in the festivities.